Hello, everybody. Welcome to the KISS podcast.
Keep it simple, sister.
Yay! How are you doing, Diana?
I am fabulous, Samantha. And how are you?
I'm actually doing fabulous as well.
Okay. And you might as well say it. Just say it. Everyone should say
I'm
it.
trying to get used to that word because there's a little resistance there. I don't know why.
It's
It's
because you
a
don't believe it. You got to believe it.
no, it's fabulous just isn't in my vocabulary. Like it's not a it's what it's other people can say it and own it. It's not something that I feel like, how some people can wear frilly tops.
Yeah.
I can't do frilly tops.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need a different word. Maybe yours isn't fabulous. Maybe yours is like fantastic, or
My God, you just gave me so much permission there.
you can have whatever word you
It's
want.
never like, honestly, that's never occurred to me. I'm like, well, Diana always says fabulous.
You could
Let's
say
just,
magnificent. We can't do it right now because we're doing a podcast, but we could always consult the thesaurus, or Jeeves will give
geez.
us other words, all of that. And
Well, sometimes I'm sparkling.
if you don't know who Jeeves is, he's Chat GPT, but he's our favorite, he's our special Chat GPT, and his name is Jeeves.
Hmm. Yes. If you have a problem, ask Jeeves. Yes, we are 1980s girls.
And that's fine. That's
That's
good. It's a
fine.
good thing. Yes. I'm owning 1980s girl because I think other people should be more like us.
Oh, okay. I like that.
There it is.
We're resilient. We're strong. We're amazing. We are.
Or or the my the for my class motto or whatever, we're sexy, we're free. We're the class of 83.
Woo, woo, woo.
Sexy and free.
I'm so sorry if you weren't born in 83 and you've got some lame kind of ending to yours, but
But the thing is, we were proclaiming ourselves as sexy and free, and I mean, we probably were kind of, or wanted to be. I don't know.
but we were so stricken by not being good enough, not knowing what direction we were heading in, thinking we were too skinny or too fat or too this or too that, not tan enough, not, the right color of hair, not
And we were
having
fabulous all along,
all along.
or fantastic, or whatever word you want to use.
So I'm going to formally welcome everybody to the KISS podcast now. So whoop. I did not say that. Okay.
I like it though.
Whatever. The KISS podcast is about the tips, tricks, techniques, and the products that Diana and I have learned or accumulated or integrated into our lives over these many, many long years that have helped us to become these, paragons of wisdom that we are. I'm just going to embellish it
in
more
our
and more
own
every
in
time.
our own minds.
In our own minds, at least, for sure. Or I think our kids buy into it a lot of times.
Yeah,
Um,
they
but
don't know any
anyway,
better.
yeah. But we have accumulated all of this, and we talk about this stuff all the time, and we share new ideas, new perceptions, things that help each other as in our conversations just shift throughout the day. And that's what we want to do for y'all. We want to share these things with you guys so that you can begin to shift your perception of reality around you into a much happier, brighter space,
Yes,
no
and
matter what the
so
hell's going on.
yes. Well, and I don't know if we're always light and bright and happy and cheerful, but we think we are, and then you fake it till you make it, and then you can. Excuse me.
You fake it till you make it.
Well, but we're not really faking it because we're making it,
Yeah.
because we can create our own reality. We have to remind ourselves of that, and so hopefully we are sharing some ways that we create our own reality, that we make it a little bit better.
There is a truth to the whole fake it till okay. I've always this is a sidebar, y'all. But when we look at fake it till you make it, I've always seen that as kind of like, oh, that's a lie. That's not really cool to do or whatever. But when you understand how we create our reality, everything that's around you, the whole situation that you are currently in is all of the decisions that have led up to this moment.
Right.
So it is a reflection of your past. Isn't that weird to think about? So how do you move into how do you change everything around you? You can't change the past. What your reality is in the now moment is that literally the past the moment you think of it. It's like now, now, now. Each
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
is so you have to think in terms of, it's not that you're faking it, but you're projecting yourself into this choosing a different set of circumstances, reality, or whatever. And you can't do it so far ahead of what's believable to where your self-limiting, beliefs are at that time. Because we've all got them, whether we
Yeah.
want them or not. You never totally undo all of them,
Right.
but
Right.
you nudge them up so that you have more and more freedom of what you want to believe. Wow.
And we have,
Where did that come from?
I like it. I like it all. And we've completely bypassed the flip side, which is
Oh
what
no,
we
we
usually
haven't.
start
No,
with.
no, no.
Not
We
yet?
haven't. We're doing the flip side.
No, but I'm saying that we were almost into
Oh.
positive path before we even did flip side first, and then we're gonna have to go back to positive path, but all of it's positive,
Mhm.
or as positive as can be,
Yeah,
as possible.
that's
All
possible.
right. So the flip side is what we usually start with. And basically it's when something bothers you, when you're feeling bad about something, when there's a little bit of contrast, when you're feeling a little bit funky, um, and you're not happy with what's going on around you or toward you or from you or any of that. Um, we try real hard to find the good, something good in there, something either that you learned from
Mhm.
or that you helped someone else, even though it wasn't so fun for yourself at that moment. If you can focus on some good that came out of it, and
Yeah,
so that's the flip side.
love it.
So you want to start with my flip side?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Well, I forgot what it was. Well, really, my flip side is what we're going to be talking about in the positive path too, but I'll give you a little bit of it.
Mhm.
Um, so I've had some contrasty things and a whole bunch of them, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Um, and I just made a decision that I wasn't going to hang out where all this negativity was, that I needed to find something that was good about whatever was happening. So one
Mhm.
thing that's been going on with me is I've had sciatic nerve issue in my back and my leg and my whatever.
Mhm.
And I ended up doing acupuncture. Several people have, suggested, why don't you try acupuncture or whatever? And I never wanted acupuncture because I thought that they're sticking needles in. I'm not paying somebody to stick needles in me. It's just not going to happen. No, no, thank you. But the thing that I've learned out of this acupuncture experience is all about qi, which you can probably explain. It's Chinese medicine, and actually, this acupuncturist is more Japanese. He
Mhm.
was explaining, but then he keeps relaying Chinese stuff too. So it's basically the energy channels in your body. And I don't understand how it works, but that was my flip side. Like, I didn't want to pay somebody to put needles in me, but now I say to him, I get to come see you in a week, right? Or 2 weeks or whatever, because my insurance will pay for it, but it'll only pay for a certain amount of whatever. But when we had a new year, now it will pay for more. So I'm just going and he's teaching me different exercises and things that are kind of, going to hopefully long term help me. But I went rolling up in there in a terrible mood, had a sinus headache to beat the band, which I always get them when the pressure changes. So I get I've got like a barometer in my head.
Mhm.
And so he always says, so how was it this week? What's going on? And I told him, I have a really bad headache, a really bad sinus headache. And yeah, my back sort of hurts. And other than that, it's okay. And so he put these little needles between. So if you think about your foot, and here's your big toe, and here's the next toe, he put needles right between them, and it completely knocked out the sinus issue. And when he got done, he was like, "Does that feel better?" And I said, "Yes." There were like 4 little needles, and that's the
Mhm.
first time he's ever done any of that. And he said, Well, that's I don't know if it's a meridian or what it is, but
Pressure
he said
point.
if you have, yeah, he said those are where the pressure points are on your foot. And if you have a sinus headache, you can push on there and it'll make it go away. And so that was my flip side. Like now I know my whole life I've had these barometric pressure headaches and
Mhm.
it makes me ugly. It makes me ugly and mean and nasty and not
Mm.
not my jovial self that I usually am. And the only thing that usually helps me is Advil cold and sinus or Advil allergy sinus.
Yeah.
And it's the stuff that you have to get behind the pharmacy counter and give them your driver's license so you're not making meth and stuff.
Yeah.
It's that. And so usually that will help knock it out, but apparently this pressure point will too. So my flip side is now I have something if I don't have that I should try first before I go to pharmaceuticals.
Yep. Makes sense.
But there's a whole lot more that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but that was the part of it that was my flip side for today that I was focusing on.
Okay. Um, so my flip side, was going to be I've just shifted it.
Well, and I thought when you heard all the stuff I was telling you, you might.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
happens to us.
yeah, because the thing is, so we do this naturally. Like I think last night you were really in it and you were having to think, how do I move out of this? And so sometimes it's a bit more ongoing. And so it's just daily management and it takes a while for something to resolve. And I was going to share one that's been going on for a while, but it's also very personal and sensitive, and so, this I'm gonna go to the one that's less sensitive that I wasn't thinking about, but it is a flip side.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that because it's so natural to us. Sometimes we don't tune into it. And
Yeah.
so we're trying really hard, to kind of pay attention to it more than what we normally do. And we
Uh-huh.
made a pact last week that we were going to write it on a post-it note as it happened or whatever. I didn't do it. You didn't do it.
And
So
do it. Well,
we're
yeah,
trying. We're
because
still
it's
trying.
just such a like we said, it's such a natural thing just to go right through it that we just don't even think about it. So, okay, so I am coming up to visit Diana for our birthdays
Yes, you
and
would.
and also for work,
Yeah,
and hopefully we'll be able to work out doing the podcast together in Diana's space.
definitely.
Um, and so I've been trying to figure out how I'm getting up there. And planes, trains, automobiles. There's so many different ways I could go, and I've examined each one. And in many ways, they all kind of work out to the same. And I'm not totally comfortable with any one aspect. There's positives and negatives to every single one. And I would say the main reason why there's positive and negatives is because I don't feel like I have the cash flow right now that I can choose whatever I want to do with ease. And it's really been putting kind of a squeeze on me. It's like, okay, I could use a credit card for this, but I don't have cash for that. And, so I've been playing around with how I can do this. And, I'm excited to come up there, but it's also added this little bit of extra stress.
Yeah.
And so I've learned with my lovely ADD, Diana had sent me some fantastic ADD videos that got me into this whole aspect of breaking it down. What is your particular form? What's your particular, issue with ADD kind of thing? And one thing I do is I hyper focus. And so once I get something in my head, I can't knock it out. Like I have to keep running with it. And I think that that was enhanced, or it's also one of those things that was a benefit for me because when I'm doing coding work, when I'm doing website design, and I'm doing any kind of coding and stuff or figuring out computer issues, you have to figure out what it isn't to figure out what it is. Or in coding, you have to you might change one thing that changes like a waterfall effect. You have to suddenly
Yeah.
change a whole bunch of other things. And you have to hyper focus to do it. And if anyone interrupts you, it's just like, the whole patting your head and rubbing your belly thing. It just throws you off. So I was getting hyper focused about getting up to you. And it was creating like it was taking hours, literally hours away from my work. You got to see when I planned one of my epic road trips that would last 5 weeks, and I'm figuring like because I figure out every single detail, and then once I have it all figured out, then I go with the flow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very much into releasing after that. But so I was being super hyper focused about that. And when I got to a point where all of a sudden I was like, you know what? What is most important to me? I like the sense of freedom. I love to travel. I like to be able to come and go when I'm ready, all this kind of stuff. And I started to go, well, what if I just drove my car up and camped in my car? So let me back this up. I used to have a camper that I'd go out for 5 weeks at a time and had to give that up. And then I studied all about minivan conversions. And I don't want to do an all out, put a kitchen in my minivan and all that kind of stuff, or live out of my minivan. But, I want to camp out of it. I'm beyond being in a tent on the ground in a sleeping bag. That's not happening.
I was always beyond that, so I get it.
Well, so just to have that little bit of freedom of being able to wake up next to, a stream and be in nature and be by myself and not have to talk to anybody for a while, so important to me. And that's why I like those long road trips as well.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway, this because of this challenge I was having getting up to you, it ended up reducing me down into asking myself, it's not just how do I get up there, it's how do I want to get up there, what do I want to maximize out of this, because things were all kind of getting equal to one another. It was just
Yeah.
timing wise. And so when I hit on really checking in with myself, it was like, yeah, I'm driving. And I already had my bed frame. So I still needed, I'd bought that 2 years ago. And I just needed, so I had not finished committing to the whole minivan thing. Like I'd traveled with my son, but we ended up staying in hotels and not the minivan. So I still needed to get a few things. Like there are these blackout things you want to get so nobody knows you're in your minivan. And it's
Yeah.
whether you build them or you buy them. And then and then getting the mattress and then just finishing out some of the other stuff. So I had released from that one thing. Now I'm into hyper focusing on getting this issue resolved. And I did hyper focus, and it did take collectively 6 hours. And I was up until midnight going out and measuring my car for a couple of things. And the thing is, it's something that I've got to do because I'm not going to go to sleep without it rolling
Yeah.
around in my head,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So I did manage to get it all resolved. I did make decisions because I stayed hyper focused. It didn't stay in my head, and it all released. And now I'm like, I'm so excited. And even the bigger upshot, like that's already kind of oh, okay, that feels better. But the
Yeah.
bigger thing about it is that I'm driving the minivan out to Texas, to Austin, Texas, and my husband's going to drive out with me. But coming back, I'm coming back on my own because once I get out there, my mom's going to come to visit, and we're going to travel all around, up into Albuquerque and down. I don't know, all over the place. And and I'd wanted us to camp in this place called Palo Duro Canyon, and we didn't have a camper. We're just driving my car, and so now I'm like, I've sleuthed through all this other stuff, and I'm going, okay, I have this tent that hangs off the back of my off of my minivan, and I'm like, if I could just get a bed for my mom, then my mom could sleep in the tent part of it. And then I realized I have a massage table. That massage table, I could just lower it so it's not like she'd ploop, fall out of it.
Yeah.
I could just bring that. My mom could be on the massage table out in her own little area, and we could camp in Duro Canyon. And now I don't have to worry about like the cost of things, and I can enjoy myself on the way back because I'm going to be able to camp where I want to camp. And I'm like, I'm so excited now. Like so this is my coming up to you. I'm doing my test drive.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Trial
Yeah.
run.
Uh-huh. So I'm super excited.
Cool.
I know
Okay,
you're just
that's
kind of going,
exciting.
what is she doing? Oh my God. But
That's ex
anyway, I hope when I share the ADD stuff that there's people who are listening who are catching, oh my God, I do that too. Because a lot of us from the 80s, a lot of us, as like Diana explained, girls, they didn't pay attention to us as having ADD. And so we didn't know what was up with us. And so I point it out now because I'm really in the process of deconstructing it and understanding it so I can maximize my life.
Well, and we've had big discussions. I don't know if I've shared this, but I was the teacher that specialized in kids with ADD and ADHD. And that was because my daughter had ADD and my husband had ADHD. And so, and I had two brothers, and I think one of them probably had ADD. And I was always good with boys. Like, so what happens in education many times is if you're the teacher that can handle the kids that are a handful, neurospicy, sometimes people call them, because, nobody said neurodivergent before, whatever,
No,
neurotypical. Those are all new
that's all.
words of whatever. But I was the one who could have people moving and grooving and doing, like I just knew how to do and did research and everything on what kind of techniques would work to make kids feel better and learn better and whatever. But so if any of you out there either have ADD, not sure if you have ADD, and ADD and ADHD are interchangeable. But what ended up happening
Well, one's hyperactive and one's not. And they
exactly.
have they had pushed those 2 together, and now they've pulled them back apart because they're like, among the ADD crowd who's not hyperactive, there's a whole other thing going on.
Exactly. And what I was about to
Mhm.
say is many boys present with the hyperactive part of it. Many girls do not. And so they've been kind of overlooked over, and they just think, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that. I can't make friends. I can do, I mean, like there's a whole different thing, not to not make friends. Yeah, but and it's a whole psychological thing that has affected so many people over the years. And my husband had ADHD, but he's 10 years older than me, so they just put him in the corner or sent him to the principal's office, and he got beat by his grandfather when he went home because he was bad. But it wasn't his fault. It was that his brain worked differently. And
Mhm.
so we Samantha and I have had a lot of conversations about how it's not a bad thing. That whole hyper focus thing you were talking about is a positive attribute. Not everybody can do that.
Mhm.
Not everybody can sink their teeth into something and hold on to it like a dog with a bone until they get to the bottom of it.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's a positive attribute that no one has ever really. All they do is look at the stuff you don't get done while you're hyper focusing on it. But
Yeah.
really, it's a positive attribute. Exactly. So it's all about perception. And that's one of the things that we want to bring to light in this podcast. Our perception, your perception, perception of you of yourself, all of that is really important. And
Mm.
you can change your perspective on everything if you think about your perception of yourself and how other people perceive you, and then it doesn't really matter. They can swear affirmation, fuck all the way off. Because what they think it is not your problem. That's their problem.
I am writing that one down to go in our blog.
Okay, good. I just made that one up. I like it because it's even more powerful than fuck off.
It is.
All the way.
Like, you're on the ledge, I'm gonna just go bink.
All the way off. All right. So should we roll this into the positive path?
Yes, yes. Okay, the positive path. So as Diana alluded to, we were talking about just kind of what's been going on around her and how she's been, going through the whole process of um, noticing where her emotional level is, how she's feeling, and you know, boosting herself up. And we thought what we would do is just have a discussion and just kind of share what's going on and how we deal with it and that kind of stuff. So this we're calling this episode Unwallow 911 hyphen or slash 411. So this is all about how to unwallow yourself.
Yes. And that all came from me. Like, um, you know how sometimes people have that victim mentality. They feel like everybody's out to get them. The universe is out to get them. Everything, but it's happening for you, not to you, which is something that I've had to figure out.
Mhm.
You've had to figure it out. I mean, it's the way you can overcome challenges.
Yep.
And it's that whole perception thing. Try and look for something good about it. And so
Yes.
most of the time, when these little blips happen, I don't allow myself to it just naturally I look for the good stuff and I don't stay there. I don't stay in that low energy level. But what I found like in the last day or two is that I was wallowing in it. Like if you think about a pig wallowing in the mud,
I wasn't gonna
I,
go there.
I know I was in the mud, rolling around in the mud,
Yeah.
just woe is me. And what you think about, you bring about. So if the more I thought about,
I've never heard it that way. Okay.
you haven't really
Yeah, what you think about, you bring
bring
about.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the energy that you put out is what you get back. It's all law of
I get
attraction
that, yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Another way to
Um,
say it.
and so I was reminding myself, okay, if I'm allowing myself to lay in this mud puddle and wallow all around in it, I'm just bringing more things to me to feel bad about. And it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of energy. And I got to the point last night where thing after thing after thing after thing happened that I had no control over. And one of the reasons I became a teacher was because I'm a control freak. And I think all of us, to a certain extent, want to control, what's in our. We want to be in control of ourselves and our environment and of what's going on.
Not
But I think,
not
huh?
everybody. There are some people that just go, like they're a victim of all of it, I think.
Right,
Um,
right.
I think that I think it's almost even more natural for a mom to be like that, just
Yeah,
because when you think about it, if you're not controlling your environment, it's like, the kids will throw the spaghetti. And
right.
then who's cleaning it up? You are. If you get a pet,
Or
who's
someone might be in danger, or even more. You got to keep the kids safe. You got to keep yourself safe. You got to keep
Mhm.
everybody safe.
Yeah.
Um, well, and I guess that's from my perspective. Like I've always wanted to be in control, control everything. And I think that I've shared a little bit that my husband had a stroke and then he had another stroke, and so there's so much that's out of my control
Yeah.
with all of this. And it's a challenge for me and it's a daily challenge. And some days I deal with it better than other days, but usually by the time I'm ready to go to sleep at night, I've kind of worked myself out of any frustration that I might be feeling. I'm like, all right, well, I'll go to
Mhm.
sleep. Tomorrow's another day. I'm not going to think about this anymore. But
Yeah.
I had to work really hard yesterday. And like I got to the throw your hands up, I give up now. There's nothing else I can do. I'm just going to go to bed
See, we
and
get
hope that it's
there.
better in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when I got up in the morning, I decided I'm going to make it better. Like no matter what happens today, yeah, it's a pain in my butt,
Mhm.
but let me find something good in it. Let me move on to the next thing.
And I am gonna insert something here
Please do.
that both I don't know about other astrological signs. I know a few, the ones that affect me the most, um, in good ways and bad ways. But with Aries, we're the baby sign, we are the fire sign, and we just don't. We can get down like everyone else does, but when a new day dawns, we come out ready just to call bullshit on everything and fight the good fight once again. I mean, there are times that I think that we do go down that rabbit hole and really just kind of like, I can't even. I just can't. But for the most part, we're fighters. And not every sign has that. I'm going to say it's a disposition, an
Uh-huh.
attitude. We kind of have that baked in, but it's also because we know that there's something on the other side. There's always something on the other side of whatever we're going through, and that's from, empirical evidence. Like, if you train yourself to look for it, like, the flip side, you train yourself to look for it, then you start to go, you have a belief that this life will always deliver this to you. There's always going to be that flip side, that silver lining. And so
Well,
that's what helps you get up in the morning and fight the good fight.
and the whole bumper sticker of everything's always working out for me. And it's not really a bumper sticker, but I mean it could be, I guess. But that's kind of my motto, and that's my reminder, that's my anchor, that's my, when I start feeling like things are really out of control and I don't know what to do next, I remind myself everything's always working out for me. It might not seem like it right now, but eventually I'm going to be able to look back at this and realize that this was happening for me, not to me.
Well, and so the way that I've been approaching life as of late, the expression that I've been using is what's right about this situation.
That's a
Because
good
I'm
one. I like that.
because then it's not waiting for the other side of it, to like, everything's always working out for me, helps you to kind of, to me, the energy helps you keep going. Whereas
Yeah.
when I say, well, what's right about this situation? Because I've preached this for so long about getting into the curiosity of the situation, the
Yeah.
observance, like, isn't this interesting? Well, then it follows to sit there and say, well, what's right about this situation? And all of a sudden you start picking out, like, if you've got a flat tire by the side of the road and you just go, wow, what's right about the situation? And you start drawing this positive energy of curiosity, which is a positive energy. Then you start pulling the people to you that are going to help you and be a delight and make it like, oh, I got to talk to this person today. And this was such a fascinating conversation. All because, my tire blew, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I say,
I
it's
like that. I need to put that on a post-it note, on a colorful index card in front of my face until
I'm
I
writing it.
internalize it.
Well,
What's right with this? What's
just
right
like
with
anything, it's taken me a while to get in the habit of going there, and I don't always go there right away. And the disclaimer that Diana and I like to give is you got to feel your feels. Well, you don't say it that way, but I do. You got to feel your feels. Like you're upset, that your emotions are your barometer of how much you're in alignment with your higher self, or, when you've kind of gone off track from being in that place where you can really cope and handle with life and stuff. It tells you something's up. So embrace those emotions, just don't let them rule you, and we've got other podcasts that talk about that, but instead, feel what you got to feel with it and then dust yourself off and go, okay, what's right about this situation? Or everything's always working out for me, I know this too will work out.
And the combination of the two of those is really good.
Yeah.
What's right about this situation? And everything's always working out. So let me just focus on what's good about this.
Mhm.
And then I know it's going to end up okay.
Well, see, I think that everything's always working out for me. Like, I think that that leads into that empirical evidence, where you sit there and go, and it's almost a part of like neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Like when I work with belief trees with people,
Hmm.
because, they say, well, I'm dumb, and you sit there and go, okay, you know, is this a true statement? Are you dumb? How, has someone called you dumb? Like, you just start picking apart the belief. And
Hmm.
so like, what does I have to believe about myself to believe that I'm dumb? It kind of like you mentioned the situation. And anyway, it brings you down this whole path.
That you
And it's
get to where it doesn't make sense.
yeah, because the empirical evidence is you're not dumb. You
Right.
can
Look at all
manage.
the smart things you've done and said and thought. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the same thing I think with the everything's always working out for me. It makes you stop because you wouldn't say it if you didn't believe it.
Hmm.
And when you say it, you kind of go, yeah, it always has worked out. So this too will work out, which it greases the mechanisms for things to move forward, I guess, instead of
Hmm.
being stuck
Hmm.
with that victim mentality of, this is going from bad to worse. Sure, it does go from bad to worse sometimes.
Well, and
But what's
truly,
right about
yesterday
that?
afternoon, I was like, what next? This is ridiculous.
And what
What is
happened
coming
next?
next? And then I thought to myself, nothing, because I'm done with this. Nothing's coming next. I'm going to bed and tomorrow's going to be okay.
And
Tomorrow is another day.
yes, do-overs are totally acceptable. I am a firm believer in do-overs. Like sometimes there are times when I've just gone, I'm taking a sandwich to bed I'm gonna eat my sandwich, have my glass of milk. Like I mean, I go into child mode,
Yeah.
literally comfort mode. And I'm going to crawl into bed and I'm gonna have that and watch some TV and then I'm out. I'm done. Like from the moment I make that sandwich, I'm done.
Well, and like last night, a lot of times before I go to bed, I'll watch something on YouTube or I'll look at Facebook or whatever, and then, settle myself down and go to sleep. At that point, I was like, there is nothing I'm going to see or do that's going to change this. I'm turning the light out, I'm closing my eyes, and I was out just like that, which sometimes that doesn't happen.
Mhm.
Um, but with the fitness bundle, it
I
does.
knew, I knew.
With the sleep pills. But I took my sleep pills
And the
and whatever,
snap.
but yeah, or SNAP. Um,
Uh,
but going to sleep was exactly what my brain needed. My brain needed to just rest it out. That's all. And then when I got up, it was better.
yeah, it had time to, there's so
But
much
I
more
had
going
to
on
use the
there.
self-talk too. It wasn't just automatically better when I woke up. I felt a little bit better when I woke up, and I thought to myself, today is not going to go like yesterday went. What do I have to do to make this start better and stay better?
Well, did you step into that mode of gratitude? Like, do you
Mhm.
recognize if you did that?
I did. Yes, I did. I started thinking, how lucky am I? All the things that annoyed me were because there was a better way that had happened before. And how lucky am I to be in a position where that was better before and it'll be better again and it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Like, what I'm so grateful that my husband didn't die from a stroke. I'm so grateful that I have the physical ability to get myself up and put my clothes on and make some breakfast and go on with my day. Like, how great is that that I can do that? How great is it that I just woke up,
Yeah.
that I'm breathing
You can really
and
bring
I'm
it down to
smiling?
its itty
Yeah,
bitty elements, and people don't think about that. Like, think about those mornings where you happen to wake up, like it's the moment you're coming out of sleep, you can feel that headache there. Like when you were asleep, you didn't feel it. But the moment
right.
that your consciousness comes in play, man, you can feel that and you're just going, no, no, I just want to go back to bed. Please fall asleep. Please. Oh God, this hurts. And so if you tune into that moment, and just think about that. And then waking up and just for a moment not having a care in the world, not having any physical pain, not, to just wake up and just
Well,
go,
and think about the other
man.
364 days of the year that you didn't wake up with a headache. Isn't that great?
Mhm. Yep. And what's right about the headache? I'm obnoxious
There
about that,
wasn't a
sorry.
damn thing right about the headache, but what was right is that I knew how I could hopefully make this feel better eventually.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Okay, so it's an outdated thing now, but if we went back in time, before we had weather bug or the weather channel or whatever, that ability to be able to sense the change in the weather, the barometric whatever coming through, you would have been somebody people would have turned to
That's
say,
true, that's true.
is it safe for us to go out in the boats today? It's sunny. And you'd be going, yeah, I'm just not
So
feeling right. So
yeah,
so it's just an outdated, sensory input that you have.
that's
So
interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's really interesting.
yeah, well, same thing as like people who like they get cricks in their legs and they can feel something coming on. And no, you don't like it, but it's also people like who had that ability, who had that sensory, whatever. It was a value to everybody else. There was no wasted kind of whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah.
just all
Well,
kinds.
and it's just like you can't, if you have a delicious meal, if you have a disgusting meal, that helps you really appreciate a delicious meal.
Mhm.
So if you don't have headaches, if you have headaches, that makes you appreciate not having headaches. That's, like all of that. If you just, what's right with this?
Yep.
What does this help me do? How does this help me? What's this trying to show me? What's this telling me? Why is this happening for me?
And you
For
know
me.
what you're doing right there?
Yeah.
You're living in the question, and the questions are the steering of the mind, right?
We are so philosophical today.
I don't know where the hell this is coming from
What you think
because I've
about, you
been
bring
thinking
it
about
about. The
van
questions are the
beds.
steering of the mind. I love it.
Well, but you think about like there's I used to be a part of this group called Access Consciousness, and you can find their stuff all over the internet. Dane here, wonderful guy. Gary Douglas was the founder and stuff, and I had been separated from it for a long time, and now I'm back connected with it again with a new appreciation for it. And everything they talk about is, the idea of living in the question, because the moment you say, you make a statement, this sucks, I only make X amount of dollars. Yeah, it's done. Like it's
Yeah.
boom, you know. But when you sit there and go, I make this, but what are the possibilities of me making more? And you don't answer yourself. You leave it open and you just feel that feeling of it, like that expansiveness of going through, and you just it's the same thing as when you say, everything's always working out for me. That opens up the flow rather than shutting you, like if you just said, man, what the hell's going to happen tomorrow? And I know people who do that and they're just like, this just
And
sucks and tomorrow's going to
it's
suck.
their everyday, all day pattern. And
Mhm.
what do you expect is going to happen? Something worse.
Well, and it makes sense what my so I channel a group of multidimensional beings and I refer to them as BB. And I love how BB talked about us, how we handle fear. And she said, or they said, that fear is like we're living in that false projection, that false reality, and we're projecting this negativity, this fear, this anxiety into the future. So if all you can do is create from in the present moment and you're projecting out all this negative stuff into the future, that's what you're bringing everything to you. Whereas she said, what I don't, not what I don't understand. She goes, why would a human not instead project a lovely false reality? It's like if you're going to do, because it's false because you can't know what it's going to be. You can't, and even if you thought you had it right, there's so many adjustments that could happen to it. So, like you think about when you thought about Disney, you had a projection of how it was going to go.
Yeah.
And even when you thought, oh, this is how today was, this is what we got to be ready with tomorrow, everything kept shifting because we can't possibly know. So it's like, why not project something lovely? And that, so it's living in the question. It's living, like you can project negativity, or you could sit there and go, okay, and be closed. And like, and that even, if you just sit there and go, rah, 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 you go woo inside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you sit there and project that, well, what if it wasn't that way? What if it was something more? What if, because it's always going to be different.
Hmm. How does it get any better than this?
Hmm. And then amazingly, it does. Like it just,
But you have to
and
remind yourself it can. It
well,
will.
it can. And yeah, I should have said disclaimer here. And I always do the disclaimers because, the thing about going back and saying what's right about this situation is that you can't know in the moment why you're going through something. If you knew it, then you would be omniscient
Hmm.
and you would see the whole game plan and you wouldn't learn the lesson. You wouldn't get the
Yeah.
benefit from it. By going in it with that awareness cut off, you are open to all these choices that you have no idea which way they're going to lead. I know it's hard to believe, but this is part of the fun. This is why we're here. When
Yeah.
you're a being that lives forever and ever and ever, and you come into this time space reality, you're looking for the roller coaster ride. And you don't want to know if it's going to suddenly go left or right or shift down. And that's why we have those roller coasters that the lights turn off and music blares and because we
Hmm.
want we just don't want to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So that's actually the excitement of being here. So, when you sit there and say what's right about this situation, it's really taking all of that into account. So it doesn't mean that it's always going to be what you perceive to be better. It's that it's
Rainbows and
working
butterflies.
out. Yeah, it's working out. Yeah. It's working out in a balance for your benefit.
Yeah.
And you remember how sometimes you say to your kids, "This is going to hurt me a lot more. It's going to hurt you," or whatever,
Yeah.
or it's that maybe that's not the right way to say it, but the best example. Um, it's going to get tougher before it gets better. You're going to
Mhm.
feel worse before you feel better, whatever it is, and it's that kind of a thing. You go through it because the contrast helps you grow.
Yeah.
We were going to get back around to that some at some point. But so is there anything left in what we were talking about? Is this a good place to
I
stop
think
or
this is a good place to stop.
that's like really cool. Just
Yeah.
because it's nothing like what we thought we were gonna.
Not at all.
No, it was just the
I
base.
mean, that's kind of our pattern.
I love it. Okay. And
And
now a word from our sponsor.
us.
We can't keep bringing you these uplifting, insightful tips, tricks, and techniques on how to navigate your way to a healthier, happier life without the help from our sponsors.
Us.
Sorry, I was prompting Diana to say us earlier. We will get this down really well. Okay.
We are our sponsor. We're our sponsor.
Well, we would only sponsor people that and products that we totally trust, that we know are verified and work. And, so
And
like,
that we've used and love.
yeah, so we're pretty good sponsors of ourselves, I think.
I think so too.
Okay.
I
So
mean, we love
today, what
us.
are we talking about?
We are talking about MorVida Moringa Daily Supplement.
Okay. So just one little pack has oodles of nutrients, make it into superfood. Honestly, it has almost all the stuff in it. Not all of it, but almost all the stuff.
Almost all the stuff.
Moringa has been touting its health benefits for over 3,000 years. Talk about timeless goodness. From boosting immunity and improving gut health to rocking antioxidants, this green guru is the ultimate green juice. Say bye bye to sluggish vibes and hello to a moringa powered zest for life. I know that's a lot, isn't it? We're getting slick
So
with these
cool.
things.
It was a perfect representation of Moringa.
So share with us how you like to have it.
Okay, I knew nothing about Moringa before I started this. Samantha knew a whole bunch about it, and it was all the goodness that she was just talking about. So it's a little packet. It's green powder, and you mix it with water, and it's green. And I lovingly call it swamp water, only because of the way it looks. It tastes delicious. It tastes like pineapple, tropical fruit kind of
Uh-huh.
something. But what I love even more than its taste is how it makes me feel. So it almost just makes me feel complete. I know
Yes.
that's the weirdest thing ever, but it seems to fulfill the needs that my body has for nutrients and amino acids and all the other goodness. And so when I drink it, I just feel my body, like all my cells are like happy dance, happy dance, happy, happy, happy dance. So I will not go a day without it. And I was sneezing my head off the other day. I don't know why I was sneezing my head off,
Mhm.
but I was like, I hope I'm not coming down with something. So I always do one packet. I added a second packet in and I felt fabulous the next day. So it's antioxidants. It helps your body boost itself up to do what it's really needs to do.
Yeah. Stuff's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you
Uh,
so much for sharing that with us,
Oh,
Diane.
you're welcome. Anytime.
So if you're interested in getting some, there's a link below. Just follow that link and follow the instructions, and you can get yourself some of your own moringa. Yum. All right, we're going to go into the weekly wanderlust.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's.
Okay, so I shared with Diana what the weekly wanderlust was going to be beforehand when we were discussing this concept, but of course we've changed.
I think
What we
it's
were
still okay,
saying,
right?
yeah, huh?
I think it'll still work. No, you got
Yeah,
something else? All right, go.
I'm gonna keep it a little bit. It's a really good practice what we were gonna do.
And we'll do
And
that in another podcast.
yeah, because you and I talked so much, and I feel like people are gonna want to try this.
Okay.
So we talk so much about saying what's right about this situation, and everything's always working out for me. I would rather see people focus on that for the following week.
Okay, love it.
Yep. Oh, good. Okay. And so it's a matter of journaling, and the trick is to catch yourself when you're feeling that negative moment, when you're just kind of going rawr. It might take a couple of times, and you might suddenly go, "What is wrong with me?" That is the moment in which to say, "Okay, what's right about this situation?" Because I know everything's always working out for me. And then in that moment, if you would journal some examples of how things work out for you. So look for situations that were somewhat similar. You might be in a whole new situation, but usually there's something that is similar enough, or just was challenging, equally challenging. And you can look at that and say, well, I managed that. So I can manage this too. This will work out too.
Yeah.
And just look for the rightness in the situation, journal it, and then go into the Facebook podcast group and share with us.
Well, and I like to journal at night before I go to sleep. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll forget what it was throughout the day that I wanted to journal about, because you're not making dinner and somebody gets on your nerves and you're like, okay, could you just help here or whatever, whatever thing is kind of just eating at you a little bit. You're not going to stop and go find your journal and write that thing down. So what I like to do is keep packets of post-it notes around. And so when that happens, just write real quick whatever the thing was. And
Mhm.
then, if that's your practice at night, like for me, I would take that post-it note, put it in my journal, and then I'd write the things, what was right about it.
I love
Or, expand upon whatever little notes I put on the Post-it note.
and
I
if
love a Post-it note. That's
yeah, if
all.
you're not a Post-it note gal, this is always like, the different sides between Samantha and Diana. If you're
Yes.
not a Post-it note gal, I'm a technological gal. That makes me sound like I'm
You're a tech princess.
yeah, I'm a tech princess. Okay, I like that. So I usually have my phone on me. And so I'll open up one of my, generally what I do is I send an email to myself. So I have all these emails in my mailbox that say me, like from me, you know,
Or me too, me.
and I know those are little notes, but you could also do it on a recorder or whatever. So
Like
that,
a voice message kind of
yeah,
thing to
yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
It just takes me too long to think of that and find it. So it's easier for me just to send an email. But anyway, that would be that's a great suggestion.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Well, and if people have other ways that are easier for them, I would love the suggestions of those too. I mean, that's just what works for me. That's what works for you. But
Mhm.
I mean, there probably could be several other ways that you could do it too.
Sounds good. So, with our sweary affirmations, we came up with this sweary affirmation, or I came up with this particular one. You shared well, and I added it to it. What was it? Fuck all the way off.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
that is definitely in here.
Well, we
Um,
decided that most affirmations, if you add fuck in there, it spices it up a little bit, and we like it like that.
oh my gosh,
Some of them it doesn't work,
that's what we're
but
calling them for now on.
spicy.
This is the book we're creating. Spicy affirmations.
Okay, good. All right, I like that. Yes.
So our
Spicy.
spicy affirmation that arrived from or derived from our conversation earlier is, oh wow, I almost said something totally different. Um, this is to be used when people are just kind of being assholes, and like you've made the mistake of like allowing your external environment to determine your value. Like you might just be in a situation where you kept allowing something to happen. Maybe you're conversing with someone or whatever it is. So it's, I keep looking at the wrong one and changing it. That's so funny. Okay. So it's, what the fuck? I just need to love myself.
what the fuck? I just need to love myself.
So you're just going, that's bullshit. This is about me.
And I know I'm great.
You're fabulous.
And you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's wrap this up. Remind everybody where, especially for people who might be new to this podcast, and we would love your comments below, subscribe, all the stuff. But if you're especially new to watching this, please comment below so we know that. But anyway, so besides having just this wonderful vlog cast, I guess, because I have yet to get it out to all the pods. We also have a Facebook. I mentioned it earlier. We have a Facebook group called KISS Podcast, and it's an all women's group. And it's so that we can all share these integrations and any other kind of things that are coming up, or any, like I might offer a course that has a special deal or something like that. Or Diana has stuff that she's sharing and she'll pop in there. So go in there, join, comment. It's a safe community. Then we also have our website, which has our blog, and the blog corresponds to the vlogcast. I don't know why I'm saying vlogcast today, just podcast. I'm sure people get the idea. So it coordinates to the podcast, and it just takes what Diana and I talked about, and it's an actual article that's more succinct than our ums and so's and all that stuff. And always the integration is in there. Also, the affirmations that we've shared, and any videos that we feel like will enhance this. It might be an Abraham Hicks or a Bashar or who knows, and any products we've talked about. So all the links are there. So it's kind of like the diary of what we just talked about.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's a good
it's
way
the
to
Cliff
represent it.
Notes version.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sitting here going, good one, Sam. I don't know where that came from. I mean, my brain was not firing on all cylinders earlier, but I did take a lab snap. That's a CBD snap. Yes, I did. And it
I did too. And it makes us focus a little bit.
yeah. I mean, it's like just amazing. And I use it before bedtime too, just to quiet my mind to go to bed. And man, I just go, whoop, I don't even think, I just zoom right in the moment I close my eyes. So like, subscribe, all the good stuff, join our community, support our sponsors, and we love you all.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.